please? Our event is starting soon, so please have a seat. So, good afternoon. I hope you guys had a great lunch. If not, you're probably going to suffer. So, today Group 1 will be inviting our speaker to talk about employee and employment trend. I'm Ang Zia, which is the MC for today's event, and along with me, we have Angeline as the second MC. And I wonder what does Setel do? Can you talk about a little bit about the background for Setel, please?
Yeah, sure. So Setel is actually a mobile platform introduced in July 2018, focusing on enhancing mobility experience for the customers. So the platform offers various services such as fueling, parking, EV charging, motor insurance, road tax, auto assistance, and general purchases. So Setel aims to simplify the process of moving from one place to another by leveraging technological advancements, pinpoint identifications, data analysis, and collaboration with partners in the ecosystem of petronas, petrol stations, retail partners, and online merchants. So without further ado, I will let Ziyang to introduce the speakers for today.
So our first speaker from Setel today will be Mr. Michael. He is currently the director of engineering for Setel, and he is a seasoned technologist with over 20 years of experience in the tech industry. Throughout his career, he was deeply involved in various areas such as software development and integration, system engineering, DevOps, database, quality assurance, and IT help desk. He has a proven track record of designing and implementing complex technical solutions and redesigning business and engineering processes to improve efficiency and reduce costs for organizations from startups to multinational companies. His experience spans multiple industries, including property, CRM, recruitment, e-commerce, car, and oil and gas. Mr. Mike's passion is to develop the next generation of leaders by providing mentorship, encouraging continuous learning, and providing opportunity for them to lead. In his free time, he is a runner where he participates in mid to long distance race and enjoys playing piano with his daughter. So our second speaker, which is Miss Namrita Doshi, who is the Senior Talent Acquisition Specialist in Setel, and she is a HR professional specializing in technical recruitment with a demonstrated history of working in the technology industry. She is currently scouting for product, data, and engineering talents to be part of the team at Setel. Along with them, we also have other Setel team representatives, which includes Ms. Nurul Fahana Abdul Razak, who is the Talent Attraction Specialist and Employee Branding, and Ms. Chan Wei Yan, who is the Talent Acquisition and Attraction Manager. So enough talking from me, we shall invite them to the stage to give their talk.
Hi everyone, how's everyone doing today?
Good.
That's great, good to hear. So I'm assuming everyone had their lunch because you guys sound very, responsive. Okay, before I start, can I know how many of you have heard of Setel or even know what's Setel all about? Or maybe even have you settled before? No? None? None of you know what's Setel? You do know what's Setel? Okay, alright, cool. Do you have it in your phone? No, okay, it's okay. It's fine. So, okay, anyway, so today we are here mainly, I think, to share a little bit about Setal, our background, what are the opportunities that we have here in Setal, and also from Mike's side, he'll be sharing a little bit about the tech team itself, the upcoming trends in the industry, and then also we'll be giving you a glimpse of the culture in Setal itself, right? Okay, so let's bring you to Setal's journey, alright? So first things first, as you know, or you may not know, Setal has been in the market since 2018 actually. So initially, I think it was just a couple of engineers, product developers coming up with, you know, the roadmaps and etc. to actually build the whole product, right? So Setal actually launched in the market in June 2018, but at that point of time, it was still in the mock test app, which was only available in Android platform. So later on, around Q4 of 2018 is when they actually finally launched it on iOS platform as well, and that's when it became available for, you know, both iOS and Android users, right? So and then moving on to actually December 2018, it was already deployed at 100 stations in Klang Valley. And then the following year, around Q1 of 2019, is when we finally started we became a subsidiary of Petronas, and in Q2 of 2019 is when we finally started hiring. So initially, like I mentioned to you, you know, there were a couple of product managers and developers. Only then, during 2019, we started branching out more. So there were even more manpower in the team. They were, you know, the finance team. They were also the HR team, the marketing team, and etc. Right? And then we move on to actually February 2020, which we had a nationwide launch. So when I say nationwide, Setal is actually available at every single city of every single state in Malaysia itself. And so October 2020 is when we finally reached our 1,000th station, which, if I'm not mistaken, we branched out to Sabah and Sarawak as well at that point of time. Yeah. Following up to the following year, which is in 2021, a lot more interesting development in Setal. So we started actually coming up with more features whereby we introduced Setal Share. So Setal Share is mainly for us to share the allowances of petrol with our family and friends. As you know, the older generations, they may have a hard time to kind of top up in the Setal app itself, right? So this actually makes it easy for them. So whenever, let's say, they want to actually fill up the fuel, they can just go to the station, and we can just share the top-up allowance with them, with our parents per se. Yeah. So yeah, that's basically one of the main reasons we came up with Setal Share. So then we move on to the following year, which is June 2022. So sorry, there's actually a typo there. It's actually June 2022. So in June 2022, we actually introduced AutoCare Assistance and also vehicle insurance. So vehicle insurance in this sense is like road tax and etc. So if you, let's say, are looking to purchase road tax, you can also go on Setal app and renew your road tax right from the app itself, right? And in December 2022, which is one of, I would say, coolest feature so far, is the Setal Automated Parking. So Setal Automated Parking, we first launched it in KLCC itself. That is where the first launch happened. And then we move on to the following year, the following quarter, which is May 2022, when we finally introduced EV charging. So EV charging is mainly to cater to hybrid cars, right? And then also, so initially, as you know, we introduced automated parking, which is specifically for malls, and then we moved on to street parking. So now, if you actually go out there, there are parking available in a lot of places under Dewan Bandaraya. You can find it in Subang, you can find it in Putrajaya, you can find it even in Klang, whereby you go there for street parking, you can just pay via Setal app as well. Yeah, so that is mainly the purpose of street parking. And then we actually got an Employer's Choice Award in January 2003, which was just few months back. Yeah, so all of us went, and under fintech industry, we were one of the company that was nominated and we received the award. Yeah. So that's so far a little bit about Setel, just to share with you guys. But aside from this as well, if you take a look at the flyer that you have, that these are actually a little bit more info about what are the features that's available on Setel app itself, right? So the goal is for Setel to be the #1 motorist app in the country, which I feel slowly we are progressing towards, definitely. Okay, so next we'll talk about the career opportunities in Setel. So basically, to share a little bit about the departments in Setel, we have HR, we have finance, we also have marketing, we have operations, we have product, we have engineering, we have AI and data analytics. So under Setel Ventures, there's Setel Pay and there's Setel Express. So under Setel Express, we mainly focus on Petronas Shop, which is related to Petronas merchandisers and etc. And under Setel Pay, there's also a department called Financial Services, which is more towards the fintech of the business itself. Yeah. So these are so far some of the departments, and there's also like risk and compliance and also commercial, which is focusing more towards the security and also the compliance and business side of the aspect. Okay, so next I would like to hand it over to Mike, who will be sharing with you about the tech team, what are they looking for, and a little bit about the tech industry itself.
Hi guys. Everyone fall asleep already? Just kidding. Okay, so I think I want to do more explanation or maybe more sharing about what this app about, right? Because I think a lot of stuff that Rita shared, it's good stuff, but doesn't do enough justice, right? For example, the fueling app, the fueling capability. Myself is a user since 2019, way before I joined the company, right? So if all of you remember, 2019 was before pandemic, right? So everybody's like, okay, why do we need to use app or whatever, right? But I found this app is very useful. You don't need to go to the counter to pay for fueling, right? You just need to click on the open up the app, and it will detect which petrol station you're at, right? That TPM here, there's one Petronas nearby here, right? Then you will need to just key in the pump number. The pump number, if you drive cars, you know, or motorbike, you know that there's a pump number for each station, right? So put in the pump number, and then just say, I want to fuel. So it will just link to your credit or debit card, and it will just instruct the fuel pump to allow you to pump. And then once you finish your pump, you just put it back, and then you just go off you go, right? So it's very convenient. I didn't know it will get very big until pandemic. Like pandemic, everybody is scared to talk to anybody, right? There's no physical interaction involved, like you don't even shake hands, right? So what indirectly this app, the journey that this app is doing is, it's allowing the consumer not even to have any physical interaction with anybody, while yet able to get their refueling done in a very efficient manner, right? The refueling is within 5 seconds, right? I mean the authorization, so it's very fast, very reliable. It's like 99% reliability that we have, right? I'm going to talk more about the infrastructure, the AWS that we're using to enhance on the reliability. So from there we move on. I know you guys are thinking like, what's the difference between other e-wallet, right? Exactly, I have the same question when they interview me for this role. I have the same question, like, what's the differentiating points with Setel comparing to other e-wallet brands, right? Okay, so I think the Setel proposition is very clear. We want to be the best motorist app, right? We don't want to do millions different things like other e-wallets been doing, right? I mean, they have their own business model and whatnot. I'm not going to question those. But if you look at all the things that we have right now and also upcoming in the future, for example, EV is big, is even huge, right? I think some of you, your first car will be maybe an EV car, right? I mean, who don't desire a Tesla here? I myself desire a Tesla, right? I mean, I'm not talking about hybrid. I'm not talking about, a few, you have hybrid, electric motor, small one. I'm talking about fully EV, right? They can travel like 400 to 500 kilometers, and you can charge it within like 2 to 3 hours. So you can see like companies like Gentari, Jom Charge EV. I mean, all these companies you might not be aware, they're building the EV infrastructure with the help of our government as well, right? Because the future is definitely going to EV, right? So just imagine you have one app that you can go to, not just fueling with the conventional petrol, but you can also recharge your car, right, with that app, okay? So the other stuff like we have integration with Do It Now payment. So basically we have our own wallet as well. We got bank and guarantor license for e-money, but in order to get the mass market adoption, right, we have already integrated with PayNet Do It Now, meaning to say all the merchants that support Do It Now QR code, you can pay using Setel, right? And whatnot, you can earn Mesra point. Mesra is our loyalty program that tie with Petronas. So once you earn that point, you can actually use it for fueling, use it for parking, use it for, motor insurance and things like that. Like other things like, insurance, road tax, auto assistance, parking we integrated with the ticketless parking system, right? So just imagine if you go to KLCC today, right? So there is a camera, there is a LPR, they call it license plate reader. So it will read your license plate. I think some of you might be aware about this. Some sort of version of this has been implemented in Summit Pyramid, right? So, but in KLCC, they do have that as well. So when you enter, you will just lift the barrier once they read your car plate number, right? And then if you tie your car plate, you put your car plate into your Setel app, and that's where the magic happens, right? We'll be able to talk to the parking management system to know when you're entering, and when you exit, we were able to calculate the charge, how much that we need to deduct from your wallet or from your credit card. So everything is seamless. You don't even need to go to the kiosk and pay, things like that. You don't even need to take out your touch and go, right? So everything is linked to the app, right? It's been very positive, feedback from our customers. So they really like that, right? We are continuing with a very aggressive roadmap. I couldn't share that because those are PNC, but you will see in the news in the upcoming days about the future launches of more capabilities with the app. So far, we have around 300 old folks in our tech department. So make sure of local and also our development shop in other countries, right? Yep. So, yeah. The key skills that we are looking for for tech team. I just copied this from the TA team. Right, I mean, basically, you guys here in APU, definitely you're aiming for degree, so that's one check, right? We're also looking for people who are, really participating in hackathons, in open source contributions and whatnot, right? Where it also allow them to experience a real life project implementation end to end. That's also someone that we're willing to talk to. But of course, if you have education, that is a good baseline to start with, right? And in terms of the software engineering concepts here, I remember I was a APU alumni here. I mean, back in 1999, I studied object-oriented programming. I'm not sure whether they still teach in the class, right? I think it's very very important as a fundamental for any software engineers to know how the object and classes, the for loop different inheritance, abstractions, dependency injections, and all these things. That when I just imagine in this 20 years of career, I can't imagine without this knowledge. I think one wouldn't go far with it, right? Because all the technologies around revolving around this concept. Microservice architecture obviously is evolution from the client server in the past, but depending on the type of business nature of the company, right? So for Setal, we use microservice architecture because it's allow us to be more scalable, and it's allow us to be tuning our performance based on the traffic and based on the load as well, with very reasonable costing, right? We don't have to spend upfront investment in a lot of big high-end servers because we are using one of the cloud technologies to upscale our servers and API whenever there's a load, right? Database, I think, is not a very sexy topic, right? A lot of people think database is like, okay, just a storage, what's the big deal? So I think a lot of times in the past, in my experience, I found that deep understanding about the database concepts. For example, relational database concepts, primary key, foreign key, unique constraint, indexes, clustered, non-clustered index. I'm not sure whether they still teach those things because I think a lot of developers today, they use ORM, right? You guys just use ORM to flush out all the objects so you don't have to write SQL, right? But believe me, when there is certain issues in production or certain low-level issues like performance, why the page loads very slow, or why when I try to click on this button, it's not responsive, right? So all this, when you trace it, sometimes it traces to a very bad execution in the query in the database, right? So and some of us, we do not know because all this query is transparent. It's generated by ORM, right? So that's why then you have to go into the ORM generated language and look at how can you change it from ORM to a stop prop or to a manual query, right? That for that particular case to optimize the performance. So don't look down on database. Database is one of the biggest skill set you need to have, right? Of course, cloud, there could have many different flavors. Could have with the brand Amazon, Google Cloud, Azure, all this, right? Different cloud technologies have different term, but they're all the same thing, right? Yeah. Backend, we feel that Node.js is a good choice because JavaScript itself is a very powerful language, right? So traditionally, JavaScript is used for front-end development, but however, we feel that if we are using that for front-end, why don't we use for back-end as well? So that's why we choose Node.js, right? In Node.js, the framework we're using is Nest. I'm not sure whether you guys know Nest.js. Yeah, not Next, but Nest, right? Yeah. Front-end, we use mixture of React, Angular, depends on the team flavors. Some teams, they prefer React, some teams prefer Angular, the Meta brand versus Google brand, we leave it to them. Mobile, of course, we are using mobile native for our first-hand experience, like Shift for iOS, Kotlin for Android. But there are some pages that we use Flutter as well. Those are more for marketing related pages that we don't need to really optimize too much for the native experience, right? So that's why we use Flutter. Database, MongoDB most of the time, right? Because we feel that MongoDB can give us the performance and the flexibility of storing the data in a non-structured way or the structured way as well. Actually, you can store structured data in a NoSQL database. Just that you have to be disciplined about it, right? Obviously, MySQL is a classic one, yeah. we also have a data team here in Setal. So they are using Python, R, and machine learning to maintain and build the data warehouse that they have. So that data warehouse will have a pipeline for reporting purpose to guide organization decision making, right? So we also have QA, right? For quality assurance, we want to have someone that have exposure or knowledge about the software testing lifecycle. It's another version of software development lifecycle, right? But it's more for QA. We also investing very heavy in automation when we write code to test code, right? So we believe that with that capability, we can go our velocity of delivering software with a predictable quality will be easier with automation. In addition of that, load testing and pen test, obviously, because you're a public app, right? So we need to make sure that we handle the load, right? And also we need to make sure that we are secure. We make sure our data, customer data, is being stored in a infrastructure that protected, right? Yeah. All these technical skills is great, but over the years, I would say that the soft skills are the one that will take you further in your career, right? So, for example, communication skills and teamwork, right? So I think it's very good for APU students because a lot of opportunities being provided for, hosting, communication, presentation, right? There was those things during my time, I think. Not sure if Dr. Suresh remember, but that a lot of presentation, being encouraged, and also a lot of talks being shared. So that actually increased the confidence of an individual, and especially myself, to be able to convey message clearly, and also to have a way to negotiate as well, right? Because in your day-to-day job, as a software engineer or QA engineer, you have to not just convey your idea, but when there is a difference in opinion, you should be able to defend your points, right? You should be able to sell your ideas like, hey, I feel that MongoDB is better than MySQL because it's offer both way to store structured and non-structured data as well, right? But whereas the MySQL is one base street, it's just structured, right? And also MySQL, you have to really be very strict when you try to update your schemas, right? So all these facts you have in your mind, right? I mean, all of us, especially in tech, we can write very well in social media, right? I think everyone say yes. But when you try to convey this to someone that you talk to, right? That is this communication skills that is the one that will help you to, convey your message and bring your idea further, right? And along together with communication skill, you have to have the camaraderie of teamwork as well. I believe you guys already have group projects or group assignment. I know maybe sometimes you complain like this member is a sleeping member, right? Like why I do all the hard work. I remember one of my group assignment in the past, many years ago, 20 years ago, multimedia, I think, using Macromedia Director as a software to create a multimedia project. So back then it's Pentium 3. I'm not sure whether you guys know, Pentium 3 is Intel Pentium 3, which is like the best CPU around 20 years ago. And one of my teammates, actually, he's from a very well-being family, right? So he has this new computer as a house, so he just loaned us to make the multimedia project. And I think because of this, I would say that he spent the monetary to help the team to make sure that we able to deliver the projects. And of course, there are some team members that may be lacking in certain technical skills or whatnot, right? So it's on us to be making sure that the team is delivering, right? That's the thing, right? So day to day, I also need to make sure that there are people contributing. Yes, they are progressing well in the career, but there are also people that are struggling because of certain maybe constraint or personal problem, whatever. So we have to be empathetic as well, right? To help them go through this difficult phase, and then from there, we hope that they are able to bounce back and be better, right? Problem solving skills and learning. This is I think no-brainer. Yeah. In fact, whatever you learn today could be obsolete tomorrow, right? So you really need to have a strong interest in learning, no matter what. Like I know you guys going back home. Oh, I'm tired. I know. I just want to play my games, right? I just want to relax. I just watch Netflix, right? But it's not a compromise for tech. Learning is always needed, right? Otherwise, you will not be able to catch up with the trends. Whatever the trends will be the norm, right? So you will not be able to catch up with the norms as well. So you will left behind, and a lot of my ex-classmates, rightfully or wrongfully, they decided this is not their cup of tea in the tech industry. So they go to other industry like insurance, property, or maybe they go to business and say, hey, it's not the cup of tea. But again, I believe you guys are here because you guys have a strong interest in IT and tech. So this is something I think you need to watch out. Time management, I think this is something that everyone, including myself, we have to keep, be diligently keeping track of our time, right? Because time, everyone have the same 24 hours. So especially when I say time management in terms of the working, is you should talk to your lead or your manager to set the expectation of how much time do you expect you to take to perform or finish a task, right? That have to be done way before you start working on a task, so that then you can plan out how you're gonna tackle the task, right? So if your manager or your lead say that, okay, I'm gonna give you 1 day versus 1 week, then you will be able to strategize differently, right? If 1 day, then probably you do have to do a quick, open up ChatGPT. I don't know, right? There's just type, how can I do this, right? And then of course we don't just copy everything from ChatGPT because the data is trained up to 2021. You have to validate that as well and to fine tune that as well, right? But if it's 5 days, then you can do a proper research, right? Go into the library, get a research paper done, like read up and things like that, right? And do a POC, right? So last but not the least is adaptability. Ability or willingness to adapt to changes in environment, in the scope of work, and everything, right? I've seen companies that they build software product for 6 months, and one day the CTO come in and say, boom, we're gonna drop this project, we're gonna move on to the next project. So I think as software engineers, a lot of folks will feel a little bit tied to that, with the whatever they created, right, is the baby, right, over the 6 months. So, but I think that you have to think about it as moving to a new area is a new opportunity, right? Instead of thinking about, why I need to waste my 6 months time working on something that is not going to go out there, right? So the mental, you have to shift it to be positive so that you can adapt to whatever direction the company is going, right? Yeah. Did I miss out anything? I think that's it. Okay. I don't know whether is this a Q&A or just finish it first, right? Okay. All right. Upcoming trends. Be very honest. I think you guys know this more than me, right? Because when I had the Monday meeting with the organizers, you say you want to know about upcoming trends, so I'm not gonna cheat, right? So after that, I just go and Google a couple of, and just list down the bullet points here. But obviously, some of these are not new, right? I've been having the opportunity to explore and getting to know those topics better, but I will just probably talk about those from my experience and how it relates to our industry in general in Malaysia, right? Okay. So AI, so this is a very big topic, right? Open AI, everyone, Elon Musk, hit back, and a lot of stuff going on. Ethical AI, AI as a service, AI is everywhere, right? AI is the solution for world hunger, everything to your problem, right? So I think this is a hype phase, right? For any new technology or new trend, it goes through the hype phase, and then slowly people realize that, okay, how do we commercialize from this? How do we make business? How do we make things out from it, right? And let's say if they couldn't find a use case or a practical use case, the hype will just die naturally, right? How many of you invested in NFT? NFT is last year is like super huge. NFT, you guys don't know fungible token, right? It's like super popular, right? Everything NFT, Pokemon card NFT, your selfie NFT, everything NFT, right? But how many of you heard about NFT today? Almost zero, right? It's not in the news. But I would say that it's going slowly downtrend because they don't have a practical use cases to monetize it, right? Even like crypto, they do have I have a lot of crypto, bitcoins and whatnot, but government is not recognizing it. The regulatory is not recognizing it. So how do you make money from it, right? So you can just sell it to the black market. And are you encouraging illegal trade? Are you encouraging illegal activities, right? Things like that. So I think that is a very big topic. But in terms of application for Malaysia or even for Setal, right? We are looking at it to enhance our customer support, right? Because this we are a consumer-facing app, so we also recognize that there are times that people would need to reach out for help, right? They might reach out to help for use certain things, or they might face certain issues when using our service. So today we have human customer support, right? That behind the chat is actual human that attending to all these queries. But we are looking at to automate or to make it smarter by introducing some sort of AI on a chatbot that train on our data, right? So we have been doing, the data team has been doing POC, have been demonstrating it internally. So after the demo, I think there are a couple of refinement needed to be done. So hopefully those refinement will come in and we need to test it out again. So touch wood, everything's good, then we should be able to roll out to the public, right? Yeah. So Metaverse, I know guys, if you don't read like this, you associate Metaverse with Meta, right? Facebook, right? And it's not sexy at all, right? But I would say Metaverse, but you like it or not, it's gonna be here to stay, right? People have this urge of going virtually to have the perfect representation of themselves to interact with others in a perfect setting, right? When I'm driving here in Nunu, so we were talking about this topic, right? So I think why this Metaverse is not flying today is because of three things. Hardware, right? Hardware is super expensive. It's like for a VR headset, you need to spend like $200 USD, which is equivalent to about 1,000 ringgit, right? And I don't think that a lot of folks want to spend just that money to experience Metaverse, right? And you have to subscribe to Metaverse as well, right? You have to go and subscribe, and all the services within the Metaverse, like they have place to hang out, a coffee place, whatever, right? Go to a coffee place, you buy some coffee, you have to spend Metaverse credit as well. So that the cost, the second point is the cost to entry is high. So I think as long as the cost is entry is high, it's a new thing. Only people who are experimenting or people who are like really wanted to experience new thing, will be like top 5% of the entire population, right? Will be subscribing to those, but you want to make it top 95% instead of top 5%, right? So you need to lower your barrier to entry in terms of the device and the subscription fees. And thirdly is the graphic. Metaverse graphic meta is like I would say 1990s video game graphic, right? I don't know, maybe you guys play the latest 3D games, and then those are fantastic, like PS5, right? You can see all this, I don't know, who is queuing up for Final Fantasy? There's a launch, right? Is it June? PS5? I'm not sure, I guess. Back in my days it's PS, right? Maybe now it's not PS. Right, so but you can see the Final Fantasy, the latest one, you see that how detailed they are, right? And compared with the metaverse that Meta developed, it's way too nice and day, right? So they have to spend, time and investment to really polish that up, to make it more realistic, right? Web3, definitely, crypto I was talking about, crypto and NFT earlier, is here to stay, but just have to think about how do we monetize that. Internet of behaviors, I think this is not new. This is already there for at least 5-6 years, but right now it's very prevalent, right? Have you ever wondered everything that you do in the internet are tracked? Even though you say, I don't want it to be tracked. I work in a company that before they said, if you press track or not track, it's still tracked. Then I was like asking back then my boss, I said, hey, are we not respecting the consumer decision? Well, if they say track, we can officially track it. If they don't say track, we still record it in the database, but we will do something about it, right? But if it said track means we put in all the dashboard and the front end that when we go in and you can see the panel, you can see this guy is there. But if not tracked, it's still tracked in the data side. And why we not track in the data side? Because sometimes, right, you cannot not track things, right? If you buy something from the e-commerce website, they cannot say they don't track your order. They have a regulatory, especially in Malaysia, 7 years of record keeping of all the financial transactions from Bank Negara and from our tax department, right? 7 years. So if your transaction is after 7 years, you can just destroy it. But within 7 years, you have to keep it because they have the rights to review it, right? So everything that you're doing in the net today, incognito mode, VPN, whatever, is being tracked. As long as you have an IP address, it's being tracked, right? So how that the company make use of this data is they want to do marketing for you, right? They want to push you the products that associated with your usage, right? They want to push you service or influence you. In US they can influence election. They know that you are Trump supporter, are not a Trump supporter, but they give you Trump speech, for example, right? But over here, I think not yet that far. So I haven't heard anyone complaining about using it for political purpose. So Internet of Behaviors, how do we as a consumer protect ourselves is you have to be aware everything that you do is being tracked. If you do not want it to be known, then don't do it. Right? That's how I see it, right? Identification is a big broader topic of Internet of Behaviors. Identification is basically electronic and non-electric behavior are being tracked. Like today, you go to the coffee shop, Starbucks here, right? Okay, let me just draw back. Let's just scale back a little bit. If I want to know what Rita is doing today, if I can access to all the system, right? Can I come up with a journal or report of where she's going, what she's buying, where she's traveling? Can I go to that? Can I produce that report today? Yes or no? If I can access to all the system? Yes, right? So the identification is the moment you never turn off your phone, right? Do you know there's a geolocation? Okay, you know. Right, so there's a geolocation service that's turned on by default, right? You turn it off But of course, you turn it off, you will not get Waze notification, you will not get Google notification or whatever, right? So that's why they ask you to turn it on so they know where you are. But there's a geolocation data being stored in your phone, and it's just a matter of getting the right permission to access your phone to get to know where your location is. Forget about that. Let's say you are subscribing to a telco service in Malaysia, right? Maxis, Digi, Celcom, whatnot, right? Your mobile. So they actually keep track of where the user location based on the position of the towers. So there's one funny thing, right? That one of my good friends worked in the telco before. He worked in the customer service. So he could receive one call and say that from a woman, right, crying, like. Then my friends are answering call like, hey ma'am, how can I help you? Oh, can you check this number for me? Where this phone number is located? Then my friend said, is this your number? Can I authenticate? Oh no, this is not my number. But this is my husband's number. My friend said, why do you want to track your husband's number? Oh, because I suspect that he's in somewhere that he said he's not there, right? He said he is, right? Then I think, just for the record, my friend didn't work there anymore, but he is empathetic enough to check, to see there's actually, this person is not located at that location that he claimed to be, right? So then of course, the story, we don't know what happened next, right? Hopefully it won't end up as divorce. But anyway, the moral story is, the telco are able to track where you are. Right, so you have to be careful with that, right? So datafication is a big topic that also businesses try to make fully use of this to push them the product and services, right? Also to improve the way that the features are being used. Next. Cloud computing is not a trend, but I'm putting it here because it's, I would say it's very relevant today, and you have to really know about cloud computing, especially just a basic, like EC2 concepts, load balancers, networking and whatnot. That will help you to go far in terms of helping you to do solutioning. Also, as everything is moving to the cloud and moving to electronic storage, right? So we want to make sure that we protect the most important asset, which is data of our customers, securely, right? Because the last thing that you want is data breach. If you have a data breach, I think the brands go down to the drain, right? So you have to do, this is one of the things that you do it when nothing is happening. But if you're doing it is when something's happening, it's too late, right? So you have to protect your assets, cybersecurity. Is there more? No? Okay, yeah. So I think with that say, I want to pass it back to Rita. Can answer any question later if you guys have.
Thanks, Mike. So I understand that we are on time crunch, so I'll expedite through this real quick. Okay, so anyway, the career path in Setal, of course, it starts off at associate when we hire, right? A fresh grad. It comes in on associate or maybe junior, either exec or engineer or analyst. Let's say if you're coming in as a software developer, your title initially would be like associate software engineer. Yeah, that's an example. Then we move on to the next level, which is junior exec or just exec, right? Same thing. And then later on, as you progress towards the next step, you get promoted, or maybe you get an increment, or let's say maybe you're moving to a new place, goes on to like senior exec, engineer / analyst. And then, so here I think it ties down to actually two pathways. Either if let's say you're looking for an individual contributor role, then you can go up to like probably a principal or a staff engineer kind of pathway, or there's also like a manager kind of role, which is basically team lead manager. And then when you get promoted, it will be like a senior engineering manager, for an example. And then moving on is director, CTO, or etc. Yeah, so that's so far about the career path over here in Setal. Just a real quick, how exactly our interview process looks like, right? So initially, when you submit your application on our platform, you can actually access it on careers. So when you actually send in your resume, our team will look through your resume. If let's say your key skills, basically what Mike shared earlier, fits in of the job requirement, then we'll process your application from that, right? So we'll give you a call first. We'll give you a call just to get a couple of details, like maybe how long is your internship duration, or let's say if you're applying for a fresh grad role, maybe like, when can you start, what's your expectation, etc. And then we move on to sharing the profile with the hiring managers. So then they will review your profile. If they think that yes, I would like to actually have a chat with you, so then we move on to the interview process. So interview process here depends. Some roles actually may start off as assessment first, like some technical roles. So we may send you like a take-home assignment to work on just for you to prove your coding skills, right? That could be one. And then also there's the interview process with the hiring manager. So hiring manager, this could be the manager that you're directly reporting to, right? And if let's say they need like additional more than one round to just gauge a little bit better about your skills and also to know whether culturally you'll be a good fit for the team, we may also go through like another round, like either with the HOD or maybe, usually typically it's the HOD for the second round. So once all the interviews are completed, if let's say they decide that they want to proceed to offer you, so we'll, give you a call, negotiate in terms of like salary, etc., and then we'll go ahead and perform a background check. So as you know, it's an e-wallet company, so obviously adhering to the e-money license, it kind of, requires us to conduct a background check. So once background check has been completed, then we'll share the offer letter with you. And on your first day, we'll also have the onboarding with, another one more of our HR colleague as well. Yeah, so that's so far, like all in all, your journey from the moment you submit an application up until your first day in Setal. Okay, so quick one on the culture of Setal. So as you can see here, we're called Setalnators, right? So Setalnators are basically, a bunch of people who constantly strive to give the best experience to customers who are actually using Setal. Okay, so some of the perks and actually benefits of working in Setal itself. First things first, I think the best thing that I can flex about always is hybrid working arrangement. So typically when you hear hybrid, it's probably like, oh, so okay, I'm required to go in the office, but how many times a day? Yeah, can you guess maybe how many times a day maximum you're required to go? 3? Okay. Other than that, 0. Oh no, that's remote. So remote, you're not required to go in the office at all. Hybrid is a mixture of both. Okay, and then there's also going to the office fully. So anyway, in Setal here, you're required to go to the office about 5 times in a month. So that's on average like once a week. So typically, the engineers, since it's once a week, they all come in together like one feature team, work together, go out for lunch together. So yeah, that's usually how the life is like in Setal. And then flexible working hours. So working hours here is 9 to 6, but of course there are also some who clocks in late, finishes late, clocks in early, finishes early. It depends how you want to run your time. Like how I think Mike told earlier, probably just have a chat with your manager about maybe you have to log in late today due to some urgent work at home and stuff like that. Yeah. Sports team. So fun fact, we have a couple of channels in our company. Basketball, badminton, bowling. So on a weekly basis, they actually go and have a session with our other colleagues. So there are certain PICs who are engineers itself. So they'll arrange this session, book the card, and then the others would join in and just play the sports together. Career growth support. Yeah, so here career growth support I think mainly is, so there are a lot of cases where some of the engineers, they may join in as a full stack developer, right? But they want to transition to back end because they prefer back end, right? In most cases, they would need to actually go ahead and do self-study or maybe self-code and self-learn, right? So what here it means is the company will actually support you in the sense that if you want to go for the courses, we also have certain kind of allowances and etc. So we can send you for the courses and training, and slowly help you in transitioning to the back-end role that you're actually wanting to go ahead and do. Yeah. Next is a smart casual dress code. Yeah, so this is how I usually go to the office. Sometimes t-shirt and jeans as well. So that's casual. Leisure area. Okay. So I think earlier Mike spoke about PS. So we actually have PS5 in our office as well. So sometimes you can see right after lunch, the engineers will be playing FIFA there, right at the middle of the area. And then aside from that, there's also coffee, snacks, food. So here, there's a pantry, cute little pantry where we have unlimited flow of coffee and also snacks and biscuits just for you to, let's say maybe you skip your breakfast or after lunch you're like hungry and you're working late. Yeah, you can just go into the pantry and grab whatever you want. Yeah. And then exciting events. Okay. Here, I think Setel is a mixture of just your day-to-day work and also a lot of events. So, speaking of, we actually have a Mother's Day event coming on Friday just to appreciate the mothers. We're having a little session at one of the restaurants outside whereby we'll be having team building with them and breaking them into smaller groups and just carrying out fun activities. And not just this, in the next slide, just to show you, these are some of the activities that we've had over the last couple of years as well. So there is a bowling fest that we had last year. We'll be having one this year as well. Futsal tournament, same last year. Weekly Setel basketball, weekly badminton, that's the channel that I was speaking to you about. And then we celebrated Setel's 4th birthday and town hall in April. And also year-end parties. So we've been having year-end parties since 2021. Last year we had one. We'll be actually having a Raya celebration next end of this month as well. So yeah, these are just a couple of events and happenings that usually takes place in Setel. So far that's pretty much it. Do you guys have any questions for us? Oh, sorry, I think one more thing that I just want to touch base on is about internship, right? So let's say if you're looking to actually apply for an internship role, same thing, you can just go on to the careers, check out the active openings of internships on the website, or let's say if you don't find anything relevant, you can drop your CV to the email address of the flyers that you have. Yeah. So also, since you have the flyer, you can just scan the QR on there to actually direct you to our website itself. Yeah, that's so far about the opportunity. Any questions from you guys? Yes. 2 questions, okay.
So first of all, are there any remote internships?
Remote internship opportunity, no. It will still be hybrid, but let's say if you're really having a hard time to come into the office, probably just discuss it with your manager. Probably they will ask you to come into the office at least maybe 2 to 3 times a month, at least, whenever the team is coming in. Yeah.
What's the average income for an
Average income for an intern, if you're a diploma holder, about 800. If you're a degree holder, about 1,000. These are also, there's also leave allocation that you'll be getting, 1 day per month. So meaning, let's say if your duration of internship is for 6 months, you get like 6 days of annual leaves to apply during your 6 months itself. Yeah. Cool, that's it. Anyone else? Don't be shy, it's okay, you can just ask. Yes?
How many interns are you taking in?
Depending on the department, depending on the role, to be very honest. Like for an example, we have a product role right now, which is open, product internship. So we are taking about 4 headcounts for product design. For product management, we have about 2. Yeah, these are for data science, we have 2 as well. So it depends on the requirement and also the roadmap of that particular quarter. Yeah. Any other questions? I'll give it probably just another 1 more minute. If you have any questions for Mike about tech. Yeah.
Where's your company home?
Company is located in Bangsa South. Yeah, it's right in the hub of all the companies. Yeah. I think one more thing. It's also accessible by public transport. So there is LRT stations nearby, which is like Kerinci and also University. So if you take from University, there's a shuttle bus which brings you to that location. If you get down at Kerinci, you can just walk to the office. Any other questions? If no, then I think that sums up for today. If you have any other questions, you can drop us an email. You can reach out to any of us as well. You can also reach out to us on our socials. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for listening and having us again here today.
As a token of appreciation, we would like to invite our leader to give out the certificates and flowers to our speakers for today. So can both speakers come out? So not only that, our other Setel Company also will get it.
Up next, we'll need to have a photo session. Can everyone go towards the middle, please? And also, who doesn't have the bag from Setel can approach us.
交不用了。